Ali?
We're ready to begin when you are, Chair. Yes, we do have quorum.
Okay, so Madam Secretary, have you started the meeting?
Yes, meeting is now being recorded.
Okay, I would like to call this regular Planning Commission meeting of March 22nd, 2021 to order. You've got some background noise coming through. Okay, now it's gone. All right. First of all, I'd like to introduce our new commissioner, Alan Wu, who will be representing Ward 5. Alan, welcome.
Hello.
And what I'd like to do is I'd like to have the Pledge of Allegiance. And Alan, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Would everybody stand?
Oh, you would have to. Huh? Put your right hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag
The
of the
United
United States of America,
to the
one
republic
nation,
Republic,
for
right,
which it
which
stands,
stands
one
under
nation,
under God,
under God, indivisible, with
indivisible,
liberty
with
and
liberty and
justice
justice
for all.
Thank you, Alan. Welcome aboard. Madam Secretary, please call roll.
Roll call. Commissioner Alderete. Commissioner Alderete. He is on the line.
Okay,
I
Eric?
think,
Yes.
I think someone need to let him in.
He is in the meeting.
He's in the meeting.
Okay, we'll come back to Commissioner Alderete. Commissioner Calderon.
Present.
Commissioner Morrissey.
Here.
Commissioner Pham. He just joined as well. I'm going to come back to him. Commissioner Ramos.
Present.
Commissioner Wu.
Present.
Chair McLaughlin.
Present.
And Commissioner Pham.
Present. Sorry about that.
Chair, you do have quorum, and just an FYI, Commissioner Alderete did let me know that he's having audio problems at this moment.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. I now invite the Commission Secretary to describe the way the public can access this virtual meeting.
Thank you, Chair. This meeting is being live streamed via our portal at www.santa-ana.primegov.com/public/portal and to YouTube at youtube.com/cityofsantaanavideos/live. If you would like to provide a public comment, you may do so in the following ways. Join the meeting via Zoom, enter meeting ID 977-024-94108. When the item that you would like to comment on is being discussed, select the hand icon to let us know you'd like to speak. You will be called upon by the name you entered. You can also call 669-900-9128. Enter meeting ID 977-0249-4108. When the item that you'd like to comment on is being discussed, press *9 to let us know you'd like to speak. You will be called upon by the last 3 digits of your phone number. After you are called upon, you must press *6 to unmute yourself. You will have 3 minutes. I will alert you when your time is up. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you. Moving on to public comments on non-agenda items. Madam Secretary, does anyone wish to speak at this point in time on a non-agenda item?
If you'd like to make a comment on a non-agenda item, please either select the icon next to your name or press *9 now. We'll wait a few seconds. We're going to wait just a few more seconds. We do not have anyone that'd like to speak on non-agenda items.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Hearing no further public comments, we will close public comments at this time and move to the consent calendar. Moving on to the consent calendar, is there a motion to approve the minutes from February 22nd meeting?
Mr. Chair, I need to recluse myself because I was
Yes,
not at the last meeting.
you can abstain. You can abstain from the meeting, Alan.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second.
I'll move to approve.
Okay, that's Marcy to motion. Second.
I'll go ahead and second.
Okay, great. Madam Secretary, do a roll call vote, please.
Yes, roll call vote. Commissioner Alderete. Commissioner Calderon.
Aye.
Commissioner Morrissey.
Aye.
Commissioner Pham.
Aye.
Commissioner Ramos.
Aye.
Commissioner Wu.
Abstain.
Thank you. And Chair McLaughlin.
Aye.
Motion passes with Commissioner Wu abstaining and Commissioner Alderete absent.
Okay, thank you. We know that Eric will be on board, so I'm going to skip the absent commissioners at this point in time, close the consent calendar, and move on to our public hearings. Before we get started with public hearing number one, I'd like to just read some of the protocols that we will be following this evening. Public hearing protocols, staff will provide a presentation and answer questions from the commission. The public hearing will be open. The applicant will be given the opportunity to speak, limited to 15 minutes. Members of the public will be given the opportunity to comment, limited to 3 minutes. The applicant will be given an opportunity to respond to the comments made by the public, limited to 5 minutes. The public hearing will then be closed and brought back to the commission. Discussion by the commission with a formal action taken to approve, conditionally approve, deny, or continue review of the application. Please consider the following suggestions when organizing your comments. Please state your name and address. State whether or not you support, oppose, or are neutral to the proposal. Your statement should include all pertinent facts within your knowledge. Avoid gossip, emotion, and repetition. A clear and concise, non-repetitive argument is most effective. Item number one. Now is the time and place for public hearing on item number one. The property located at 1935 East 17th Street, Unit A2. Please note the decision on this matter is final unless appealed within 10 days by any interested individual or party. Before we begin, do any of the commissioners have anything they wish to disclose with regards to this item? I'm going to just go down the list. Commissioner Alderete.
No.
Commissioner Calderon.
Nothing to disclose.
Commissioner Morrissey.
Nothing to disclose.
Commissioner Pham.
Nothing to disclose.
Okay, Commissioner Ramos.
No.
Commissioner Wu.
No.
I have nothing disclosed too. Okay, at this point in time, Jerry, would you please present item number one?
Yes, good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. This first item is a request for a conditional use permit by the business owner, Jesus Rodriguez, to allow the sale of beer and wine for on-premise consumption at El Yaqui Tacos y Mariscos, which is an existing restaurant located at 1935 East 17th Street, Unit A2, and it's located within Council Ward 3. Moving on to this next slide.
We're not seeing any slides.
Yeah, the slides just disappeared.
Just one moment, Commission. We're going to share the screen again. Do you see the slides now?
No.
No.
Okay, just one moment. Okay, do you see the screen now?
Yes.
Okay, great. We'll
Is there any-
continue.
Chairman, we're proceeding on with slide number 3.
Okay.
On the right hand side, you see an arrow view identifying the location of the restaurant in red, which is located on the north side of 17th Street with an existing shopping center that's anchored by Hobby Lobby. The general plan land use destination of the property is general commercial, and the zoning of the property is arterial commercial. The project site is surrounded by other commercial uses to the north, east, and south and west, and single-family residence to the north. Moving on to slide number 4. This is a site photo of the restaurant facing 17th Street. Moving on to slide number 5. The restaurant is currently located, as mentioned, on a pre-existing multi-tenant development. The particular parcel that this restaurant is located at is about 8,900 square feet in size and was constructed in the late 1900s. El Yaquis Tacos y Mariscos has been operating since September of 2019, and it specializes in traditional Mexican food and seafood. The restaurant, as currently developed, can accommodate up to 22 patrons, and the proposed hours of operation would not change and are staying consistent, which are Monday through Sunday from 10 a.m. to 12 a.m. midnight. At this time, the applicant is not requesting for after-hours operations nor for a live entertainment permit. Moving on to slide number 6. On your left is a site plan identifying the locations of the restaurant in red, and to the right is a floor plan of the restaurant which highlights the storage and display area in red, which equals to less than 5% of the total gross floor area, and the storage area is located towards the rear of the restaurant. Moving on to slide number 7. As mentioned, the total combined alcohol and display area would not exceed the allowed threshold as established by the Santa Ana Municipal Code, which is 5% of the total gross floor area. The sale of alcoholic beverages will provide an ancillary service to the residents and visitors of the area. The restaurant is not located within any sensitive land uses. As part of the application, the police department did review this application, and they are satisfied that the operational standards applicable to on-premise alcohol beverage control licenses will mitigate any potential impacts to the surrounding community, and therefore does not oppose the granting of the CUP. In addition to that, staff has included conditions of approval to Exhibit 1, the resolution, as well as the requirements of the maintenance agreement that will address any potential negative impacts should they arise. In terms of the California Environmental Quality Act, this project is exempt from further review, and staff will prepare an environmental exemption for this project and will be filed with the county. In addition to that, there is no fiscal impact associated with this project. Moving on to slide number 9, staff recommendation is that the Planning Commission shall approve conditional use permit number 2021-03 as conditioned. And that concludes staff presentation. I'm here to answer any of your questions. We also have Sonia Jutran, who is the representative for the business owner, and Jesus Rodriguez is also in attendance. Should you have any questions for them?
Thank you, Jerry. I'm just going to go down the list by commissioner with respect to any questions you might have of Jerry or staff. Commissioner Alderete, do you have any questions? Commissioner Alderete?
You hear me now? Sorry about that. Yeah, a couple of questions. What nearby restaurants offer a Type 41 and or a Type 41 on-sale general licenses?
Commissioner Alderete, within the existing census tract, there are 9 other establishments that do provide on-sale consumption of beer and wine. Within that particular shopping center, there's only one restaurant, which is the sushi restaurant that's kind of located next to what used to be LA Fitness.
And then, thank you for that. Do we know, or do you know whether Precinto LLC has any other licenses, or whether the operator has any other licenses where they operate, where they have an ABC license?
This will be the first ABC license that the owner will be obtaining. So he is also in participation that he could further answer those questions for you.
That's it. That's my questions.
Okay, Commissioner Calderon,
I have no questions at this moment.
Commissioner Morrissey,
I have no questions.
Commissioner Fan.
Thank you. Thank you, Jerry. I have a quick question in regards to, as part of the conditional use items, are there any site improvements that are tabled for immediate kind of implication, or if I'm wondering if the conditional use the items are for future site improvement or future improvements on the property?
Commissioner Pham, as part of our regular CUP process, we do a site inspection to ensure that the site is in compliance with all of our Santa Ana Municipal Code regulations with regards to like parking, striping, lighting, etc. This particular applicant has been in compliance, and there was no significant issues that were identified at the time of the inspection. With that, the only conditions of approval, in addition to our regular standards, we are requesting that the applicant execute a maintenance agreement that will ensure that the property is well maintained in the future days.
Thank you. Yes, that's why I was wondering if there were anything that needed to be done immediately, or if the property management agreement is for items that are down the road. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Ramos.
And no questions.
Okay, Commissioner Wu.
Currently, on that property in front of that restaurant, there is a temporary COVID-19 type patio. I was wondering, how does the conditional use granting alcohol use, will they be able to take the drink from inside to outside in a temporary patio? When the COVID-19 is over, does that structure stay there and it's only on the inside?
Commissioner Wu, that is correct. The temporary outdoor dining is established through the executive order to the city as well as to ABC that would allow them to have that outdoor dining in conjunction with alcohol sales. But after those executive orders are lifted, this applicant would not be allowed to have outdoor dining, nor would they be able to provide alcohol sales for outdoor dining.
So Commissioner Pham's question about the upkeep of the area includes immediate removal of those drinks after a customer leaves on the outside?
That is correct.
Thank you. No further questions.
Okay, I just had one question with regards to the number of patrons. It was mentioned 22 patrons, and I'm assuming, number one, it didn't include any temporary exterior facility. I'm also making the assumption that it probably doesn't represent any kind of COVID action that might be taken in the future, be it 3 feet or 4 feet or 6 feet. Just curious on that aspect, because 22 patrons, it's not a very big, but it's only 1,500 square feet. It's not a very big establishment.
Chairman, that is correct. The 22 current patrons is based on the site plan that the applicant provided. But as you mentioned, going down the road later on, if there are some guidelines that they need to follow through the health department, this applicant will have to abide by those regulations.
Okay. Thank you, Jerry. Madam Secretary, have we received any written communication on this item?
We have not received any written communication on this item.
Okay. With that said, thank you. The public hearing is now open. Would the applicant like to speak on this matter?
Just one moment. Sonia, go ahead.
Hi, my name is.
Sonia.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank you for reviewing our petition, and we hope to receiving a positive response from you.
Okay. Do you have any other comments that you'd like to make at this time?
We are looking forward to having the addition of the sale of alcohol in our location, as we believe it will help us increase our sales and also bring more economical wealth to the city and the community.
Okay. Thank you. At this point in time, do any of the commissioners have any questions of the applicant? Commissioner Alderete?
I do not.
Commissioner Calderon?
No questions.
Commissioner Morrissey?
No questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Fan?
No questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Ramos?
No questions.
Commissioner Wu?
No questions.
I don't have any questions myself. Madam Secretary, do we have anyone that would like to speak on this matter?
If you'd like to speak on this matter, please indicate your desire to do so by either raising the hand icon or pressing *9 if you're calling in. We'll wait 30 seconds. Ten more seconds. We do not have any callers.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. With that said, the public hearing is now closed. We'll bring it back to the commission for final action. Okay. Would anybody like to make a motion at this point in time with regards to item number 1?
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Wu. I'd like to move that we approve the staff recommendation to approve the conditional use permit.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Who is that?
Alderete.
Okay, thank you, Eric. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions or concerns on any of the commissioners? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, will you please do a roll call vote?
Yes, roll call vote. Commissioner Alderete.
Yes.
Commissioner Calderon.
Aye.
Commissioner Morrissey.
Aye.
Commissioner Pham.
Aye.
Commissioner Ramos.
Aye.
Commissioner Wu.
Aye.
Chair McLaughlin.
Aye.
Motion passes by unanimous consent.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Sonia, good luck with your Type 41 license, and hopefully things will go well. Okay, this is the time and place for the public hearing on item number 2 for the property located at 801, 807, 809, 809 and a half East Santa Ana Boulevard. Please note, recommendation on this matter will be forwarded to the City Council for final determination. Before we begin, do any of the commissioners have anything they wish to disclose regarding this matter? Commissioner Alderete,
I do not.
Commissioner Calderon,
Nothing to disclose.
Commissioner Morrissey,
Nothing to disclose.
Commissioner Fan,
Nothing to disclose.
Commissioner Ramos,
I have nothing to disclose.
Commissioner Wu.
Nothing.
I too have nothing to disclose at this point in time. Pedro, please give us your presentation.
Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. The second item on tonight's agenda is a request for the approval of a density bonus agreement to allow the construction of a 17-unit residential rental community known as FX Residences. The project is proposed to be entirely affordable with 16 units of permanent supportive housing for individuals experiencing chronic homelessness. The applicant is requesting concessions and waivers from the city's development standards through the density bonus agreement pursuant to the California Government Code. The project site is approximately 0.344 acres. It is made up of 4 contiguous parcels addressed as 801, 807, 809, and 809.5 East Santa Ana Boulevard. The project has a general plan designation of urban neighborhood, and the zoning is transit zoning code with urban neighborhood 2 designation. The property is surrounded by single family to the north, multifamily to the north, south, and west, and manufacturing uses to the east. This next slide provides the site photos. As you can see, the site is currently vacant and unimproved. This next slide shows the proposed site plan and landscape plan. In addition to the 17 units, the project will include 1,120 square feet of group space, which includes the lobby area, lounge area, and laundry areas, and will include a 389 square foot community room. The development will consist of a 2-story building and will feature on-site amenities such as communal laundry facilities on the 1st and 2nd floor, on-site bike storage, 400 square feet of on-site personal storage, and 608 square feet of office space. Open space is provided through a private interior courtyard, approximately 1,877 square feet in size. The design and layout of the proposed courtyard creates a unique outdoor area within the development that functions as a passive outdoor space. The courtyard will feature an exterior art wall and a robust landscape palette with a variety of hardscaping materials, trees, and shrubs. This next slide provides the proposed floor plans. To the left of the first floor and the right shows the 2nd floor. Each of the 17 units will be one bedroom and will contain a full kitchen, a single bedroom, a full bathroom, and open living areas. The following 2 slides show the proposed elevations. The project features a Mission Revival architectural style, common of many multifamily or mixed-use residential communities under construction in Santa Ana. The Mission Revival style respects and complements the surrounding neighborhood, including the Triada at the Station District located at the corner of Santa Ana Boulevard and Lacey Street, which was completed in 2013. Overall, the project will include a design and solid construction materials that will ensure that the project ages well for the duration of the building's lifetime. The project proposes that 1 unit be set aside for an on-site manager, while 16 units are proposed as affordable. During the density bonus agreement's 55-year term, the units are to be rented for occupancy by extremely low-income tenants at a rent that does not exceed 30% of the area median income for Orange County, which is currently set at $72,100, adjusted for a 1-person household size. For example, based on the current figures, if a qualifying tenant's tenant gross annual income is $20,000, the maximum annual rent cannot exceed $6,000. Due to the project's 100% affordability rate, the developer can seek up to 3 density bonus concessions and unlimited waivers pursuant to the California Government Code. In addition, California Assembly Bill number 2345 requires that housing development in which 100% of all units are for lower income households receive a maximum density bonus of 80%. Pursuant to the Government Code, the developer is requesting 70% state density bonus. As outlined by the table on the slide, the maximum unit yield for the 0.344 acre site is 18 units, and the applicant is proposing to develop 17 units on the site. The purpose of the state density bonus law is to encourage the development and availability of affordable housing by requiring the inclusion of affordable housing units within new developments. Pursuant to the California Government Code, a local jurisdiction is limited in its ability to deny requested concessions and waivers and is preempted from denying the density bonus agreement application. In addition, pursuant to Section 41-1607 of the Santa Ana Municipal Code, an application for a density bonus agreement is required to be approved by the Planning Commission for any project containing concessions and/or waivers. The Planning Commission's review of the density bonus agreement is based on the following findings. One, that the proposed development will materially assist in accomplishing the goal of providing affordable housing opportunities in economically balanced communities throughout the city. Two, the development will not be inconsistent with the purpose of underlying zone or applicable designation in the general plan land use element. And three, the deviation is necessary to make it economically feasible for the applicant to utilize the density bonus authorized for the development pursuant to the Santa Ana Municipal Code. Moreover, this project does not require a site plan review application per the municipal code. In addition, the Planning Commission's review and determination for this request is limited to the provisions of the density bonus agreement application only. This slide that's shown up on the screen outlines the concessions and waivers requested by the applicant. As proposed, the project requires 3 concessions and 2 waivers. The first concession is for the lot width. A concession is required to maintain lot width of 25 feet less than the minimum required. The second concession is required for tandem parking to exceed the minimum by 53%. The third concession is for the proposed open space. A concession is required to provide an open space for 12.5% of the lot area instead of 15%. A waiver is required to allow the stacked building type, and the second waiver is required to require no trees along Garfield frontage and 1 tree per 37.5 lineal feet along Santa Ana Boulevard. When analyzed together, the 3 concessions can be avoided if the project were designed on a different site, using a different site plan, or constructed using a different type of construction. For example, if the project were designed with a multi-level parking and or subterranean parking structure, or if the applicant used different building materials to construct a taller project, additional area on the site would become available to provide open space and parking and would allow the project to meet the required requirements. However, these changes would increase development costs and result in a project that would exceed the maximum permitting building height, resulting in the affordable housing project becoming financially infeasible due to the significantly increased financial implications of an alternative construction type compared to the smaller scale project which proposes 17 residential units. Moreover, based on the analysis provided within this report, the proposed development will materially assist in accomplishing the goal of providing affordable housing opportunities in the city and will be consistent with the purpose of the underlying zone and applicable designation in the general plan land use element. In addition, the proposed deviations are necessary to make the project economically feasible for the applicant to utilize the density bonus authorized by the municipal code. Lastly, this project is consistent with the character of the surrounding area, which contains a mix of land uses, primarily single and multifamily residential, and commercial at various scales of development. Pursuant to CEQA, the recommended action is exempt per section 15194, the affordable housing exemption. Environmental review number 2019-108 will be filed for this project. The project would contribute to the creation of local temporary and permanent job opportunities for construction and supportive housing services. For example, on-site manager will be needed and support staff would be needed. In addition, the construction of the project will require payment of permit fees to the city. Lastly, there is no physical impacts associated with this project. Therefore, staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt a resolution approving density bonus agreement application number 2020-02 as conditions. That concludes staff's presentation. I'm available for questions at this time, and I would like to note that the applicant is on tonight along with its architects, and we do have members of our housing division here tonight to answer any sort of housing-related questions as well. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Pedro. Appreciate the presentation. We'll start with Commissioner Alderetti. Do you have any questions of staff, Pedro? Or
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have a couple of questions. I might have more after hearing the discussion.
Sure. Well, we'll come back. I think we'll rotate through this a couple of times, I'm sure.
Okay, all right. So one question I had is you mentioned the on-site unit. Is that on-site unit for the manager, is that affordable? An affordable unit?
Thank you, Commissioner. No, the on-site manager's unit would not be affordable. Only the 16 units, aside from the on-site managers, will be affordable.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. The report says that there's a discussion about the AMI, which is currently set at 72,100. And I was a little confused. Is that the income at or below at which a person must have? Or is it the actual gross annual income of 20,000 that the applicant to this facility must have?
The 20,000 was an example. The 72,100 area median income is the Orange County median income for a one household size. So that's taking the county as a whole. The area median income would change depending on the household size. It would change if it's a 4-person household versus a 1-person household. So in this case, since these are one-person bedrooms or units, excuse me, we took the area median income for 1-person household for the county, which is 72,100. What these will be at, the rate-wise would be 30% of that. So that's extremely low income. So it's up to or 30%. So in some cases, I guess members that would be living here would have, less than 27,000 annually. It could be probably charged no more than $500 to $600 monthly for these units. So that's kind of the example that was provided was just an example of what someone who makes 20,000 would be charged.
That's helpful. So yeah, I get it. I think I misunderstood. It's 30% of 30 of the AMI, which is whatever that amount could be based on family size.
That's correct.
Got it. Okay. The other question I had related to the accommodating the tree on Garfield. I read the staff description, but I couldn't really visualize why it couldn't be there. Is it just like a median or a strip of land that the tree couldn't take root? Or is it's too close to the building and therefore it wouldn't work?
It's actually a combination of both. So there's a 10-foot setback from the property line, and there's an existing, I think there's an existing requirement for street trees along Garfield as part of the development review for this project. So in combination with the existing street trees that are proposed, I think there's 2 proposed along Garfield, and the minimum setback area, there's just not enough space for them to provide the required tree along Garfield.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you. I have no further questions.
Okay, Commissioner Calderon.
I don't have any questions right now. You can come back later.
Okay, Commissioner Morrissey.
Yeah, thank you. I do have a question on that street tree issue. So I think you clarified that there will be 2 street trees that we are seeing on the rendering, 2 street trees. They're talking about the on-site tree requirement.
Thank you, Commissioner. Let me see if I can make this conversation a little bit easier by showing our landscape plan, if it's visible. So the landscape plan is shown to the right-hand side. You can see that the legend isn't provided, but there's 2 camphor trees proposed here. These are 20, oops, let me go back. Okay, well, to the left along Garfield, there's the 2 camphor trees proposed. These are 24-inch box trees. These are city requirements. So based on the mature growth for that and the design of the walkway leading into the development, there is an additional space to accommodate an actual tree along Garfield. So that was kind of the site constraint that these developers had, and which is why they're requesting the waiver to not include any sort of trees along Garfield.
Okay, it's, we have a similar condition on Santa Ana Boulevard, but they are providing street trees there and looks like a couple palm trees. Seemed like it'd be easy to add in a couple palm trees at that architectural projection on Garfield, just to add a little extra, I guess, vertical and articulation along that street. Is there a reason that palm trees can't fit in that area?
We'd probably have to ask that question to the architect and perhaps maybe the landscape architects if they're on board. I see what you mean here, but so just to answer your question about kind of the trees itself, it looks like the layout of the proposed trees are kind of offset from the existing street trees that are there. The city is not requiring any new street trees. Those are all existing. And so while they're not providing it at a rate of 25 per linear foot, which is required per our code, they are providing it 37.5. So that ends up with maybe 1 or 2 trees less than what normally would be required.
Okay. Another question on the zoning of the adjacent parcels on the, assuming north is up on that, on the plan, what's the zoning? Looks like that's a low-rise multifamily development on the north. Is that zone similarly?
Commissioner, could you repeat that question? Are you asking about the zoning for the adjacent properties?
Yes. On the north and the east specifically.
Immediately to the north are single-family, existing right now are single-family residences. And then you asked along what other elevations?
The east side, I think you have an industrial use there on the east side.
Correct. It's an industrial or manufacturing, I'm not sure if it's a steel manufacturing building, but it is manufacturing, so it's commercial use. And then, like, as mentioned, to the north is 2 existing single family. I think the further you go down, it increases to multifamily.
Right. But is it zoned for single family, or is it a same zoning as the site?
Yeah, so a lot of those properties, especially in downtown, are considered non-conforming. The zoning technically for the downtown area is transit zoning code. So the areas immediately north of the site and to the east actually they fall under the urban neighborhood 2 designation, which does allow a mix of either single family or multifamily, which often includes kind of like a live work unit or flats like this property is proposing.
Okay. I don't have any further questions at this time.
Thank you, Commissioner Morrissey. Commissioner Fenn.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Pedro, for the presentation. The first thing that caught my eye was the reduction of the parking ratio for the proposed project to 0.71 space per unit. I'm wondering how that reduction combined with, I believe there's community meeting notes where, community members were voicing concerns about parking, on-street parking, as well as on-site parking, and the lack of availability of parking spaces. And so if we reduce the parking ratio to accommodate for this development, how do you foresee the impact on the parking situation in the general vicinity?
Thank you, Commissioner. So in fact, analysis, we don't perceive an impact. So as part of this review process, we are mandated to abide by state code requirements, which, in some cases limit parking ratios to 0.5. In other cases, actually don't have any parking ratios depending on how close the development is to a major transit, like the train station. So in this case, though, compared to other projects and compared to kind of the sector of the community that this project is servicing, we did feel like there would be, and 0.71 spaces per unit is appropriate for this development.
one. And then two, there are additional transit options in close proximity to the site, including 5 major bus lines, as mentioned, the transportation center, which is less than 0.5 miles away. There's dedicated bike lanes, and also along Santa Ana Boulevard, there's construction of the new OC streetcar. So in combination with the sector of the community that this is servicing, with additional alternative modes of transportation, staff didn't feel like this would be a concern.
And for my clarification, the 55-year duration of this agreement, that would mean that after 55 years, the developer is free to lease these units at market price. Is that correct?
I believe that's the general understanding, but I would probably defer that question to our housing manager or one of their staff.
Okay. The only reason why I was asking for clarification, because I believe in the staff report, I think the general understanding is that since these units are lower income units, that the amount of parking wouldn't be an issue, because there is an anticipation that there will be a larger use of public transit. My only concern, or not, my only thought would be, once the 55-year duration is done, that potentially you would have people with cars or just basically more of a need for a personal vehicle per unit than what we would be potentially approving now or recommending for approval now. And so that's just more of a point of kind of the changing use and the change in needs after the 55-year agreement. That's all.
Ali, is there someone from housing that can just clarify this for Al?
Yes, Chairman, thank you. We have on the line Janice Eccles. She's a housing program specialist from our housing division. I will ask her to unmute. We also have Justin Brown, to our housing division manager, on the line.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, there's initially going to be a 55-year covenant with the ground lease. One of the reasons why we did it with a ground lease is that it is on housing authority land, and this will allow us to renew the lease in perpetuity at the end of the 55 years as an option.
So it's an either-or situation. It can either be extended for an additional 55 years, or it can be designated commercial, not commercial, but market value.
Judson is working on the ground lease. Do you want to address that, Judson?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Commissioner Pham and Mr. Chairman. And for some context too, this project really started, I would say, 2.5 years ago, when our housing authority made available this parcel for development, and then selected this developer, Homemade Orange County, in partnership with Mercy House, under and awarded a ground lease to the developer, a 99-year ground lease. And so once the 55-year affordability period is completed under the density bonus housing agreement, it would default to the 99-year ground lease. And the idea, as Janice mentioned, is for this site to remain perpetually, to remain affordable in perpetuity, permanently. And that's what we're intending, and that's what the ground lease terms will be over the 99-year period.
Bao, does that provide clarification for you?
That does. And the 99-year ground lease, is there a economic there threshold? I know right now the 55 years is for extremely low income, but after the 55-year terminates, the 99-year, would there be a max rent not to exceed amount?
The ground lease will actually have terms in there that require the units remain affordable to families at 30% AMI and below over the entire term of the ground lease.
Thank you. That sounds good. No further question at the moment.
Thank you, Val. Thank you, Janice, and thank you, Justin. Commissioner Ramos.
I just have one follow-up question for staff, specifically for Judson. Judson, I know that there was a question on whether this would remain affordable long-term or if it could be converted to market rate at any point. And I just want to clarify that this is housing successor agency land, correct? So it would not be able to be converted to market rate at any point unless the city decided to sell that land.
That is correct, Chairman. Commissioner Ramos. The land could not be converted to market rate unless the ground lease was terminated by the Housing Authority Board, so at that point it would, and it would, where if it were to be sold, then that's the only cause that could lead to the project becoming a market rate project.
Thank you for the clarification. Those are all my questions for staff. I will have questions for the applicant later.
Okay. I'm just going to go through and get clarification on some of the things that we're talking about. With respect to the trees, just one thing I want to go back to. Those that were highlighted in the picture, all of those trees at this point in time, is it my understanding that they all exist there today?
Thank you, Chairman. No, that's incorrect. The trees in the public right-of-way or the parkway along Santa Ana Boulevard, those exist.
Okay.
Along Santa Ana Boulevard, the trees that are proposed on site, those are new. Along Garfield, the trees that are proposed along the public right-of-way, those are two new trees that will be required as part of the site plan review process.
So those are the trees that are in the upper left-hand corner of the picture?
Correct.
Okay. And just out of curiosity, I mean, what was the width difference between the Santa Ana Boulevard sidewalk and the Garfield?
Chairman, are you referring to possibly the setback?
Setback, yes.
Okay, so it's actually the same setback, the 10-foot setback along both of those streets.
So the setback hasn't changed. It's just that we're not putting in any kind of trees or foliage on the Garfield side.
Correct.
But we really don't have any. There's no reason why we couldn't put trees in there. There
is. As mentioned previously, the street trees that are required are camphor trees. I'm not sure if the applicant has a landscape architect with them, but my understanding is the maturity height of camphor trees are 40 to 50 feet high, and the what would you call that, the canopy or the growth is about maybe 40 to 50 as well. So taking that and then kind of the root systems, there is an opportunity to provide additional trees within the on-site property along Garfield. So my recollection is that was the design intention for that landscaping omission of those trees there. And it wasn't a problem for the trees along Santa Ana Boulevard.
Okay. All right. Last question I've got is with respect to the parking plan that we have. Do we have a specific parking plan laid out by the applicant at this point in time with regards to this lot?
No, Chairman. One will be required prior to building permits, though, as part of the overall permitting process.
Is it possible at this point in time that it could be also made available to the Planning Commission prior to?
Well, regarding the overall parking concerns, like the parking with the parking management plan, staff didn't feel it necessary to be presented to the Planning Commission at this point. This project's unlike the other affordable housing projects that have been presented, this being 17 units. In addition, this project is meant to serve a population of the community that is chronically homeless and in need of permanent supportive housing services. Many of them are extremely low income, and for that reason aren't able to afford a vehicle. So for those reasons, staff didn't feel it was necessary to present a parking management plan at this point, but is requiring one as part of the density bonus agreement and will be required prior to permits being finalized or prior to permits being issued. I forget which. I'll look up in just a second.
Okay. All right. We can come back to that one. I'm just going to swing through real quick on the commissioners. Commissioner Alderetti, any further questions of staff?
Yes, thank you. Just one question. The Commissioner Ramos mentioned that this was successor agency land. Do you know what was on the site previously and if there were any issues with like brownfield contamination?
Thank you, Commissioner. Actually, I don't know the history of what was on the site. I'm wanting to say that there were existing single-family homes, but perhaps our housing manager has more info on that.
Yeah, actually, a great question, Commissioner Alderetti. In fact, the history of trying to develop this site goes back over 10 years ago, and Larry Haynes, the applicant, is on the line with us, and he started this process with the former executive director of Homemade Orange County in partnership with the city over 10 years ago. And Larry, do you happen to remember I think there were 3 single-family small homes on this site over a decade ago or 15 years ago?
Off the top of my head, I want to say there was 1 or 2. I honestly can't recall the condition they were in, or if there was significant value at all. But even then, they were uninhabited. They were completely abandoned at that point in time, which is, I think, to your point, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. I have no further questions.
Commissioner Calderon.
Yeah, I have 2 questions. First one, is there permit parking on Garfield Street?
It's a good question, Commissioner. Let me pull up our permit parking map in just a second. Let's see. Okay, so there is permit parking on Civic Center between Poinsettia and Garfield. And on Garfield, looks like there is as well. That's north of Civic Center.
Okay. And then are there any parking meters on Santa Ana Boulevard, or is there parking available there as well? Or is it just flowing traffic?
You know what, Commissioner, that's a good question. I don't recall that there's any sort of metered parking along Santa Ana Boulevard. I vaguely recall no parking signs along that street, though.
Okay. And then, sorry.
I can just interject really quickly. There is street parking available along Santa Ana Boulevard. The meters, however, though, begin closer as you start approaching the central business district.
Okay, thank you for the clarification there. Second question that I had is, so you presented a great presentation. I'm more looking for the amenities that this site is going to have. So I know it's being served for people who are in need, low-income communities. As far as the amenities that this building is going to have, will it have Wi-Fi for all of the residents there? Do we know that?
Thank you, Commissioner. I don't know that exactly, but my assumption is providing office spaces that they would. But I do have the applicant again on with us today who might be better able to answer that question.
Sounds good. Okay. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Calderon. Commissioner Morrissey. Commissioner Morrissey?
Yeah, thank you. I have a couple follow-up questions. Regarding the parking permits, how are those assigned? If we're have on-site parking for, looks like 12. how many,
The permit parking program?
yeah, so how would parking permits be assigned if residents were applying for them?
My understanding is that this project would not be eligible for parking permits. I think the eligibility for properties is typically 4 residential units or less on the lot. So this, if you're asking about this specific property, they wouldn't be eligible for parking permits.
Okay.
Neighboring properties that are eligible would have to have 4 residential units or less on the lot to be eligible.
All right. Thank you for that. Another quick question on the landscape plan, maybe, I don't know if you know, maybe that we can query the applicant. On the north side, there looks like there's a row of, I don't know if they're shrubs or what's along there. Do you happen to know what type of planting that is on the north side, the northwest side?
Yes. Give me 1 second here while I look that up. The legend shows, so you're referring to the north side with the shared property line?
Yes.
Okay. So those are shown as, those are shown as blue iced yellowwood. That's the common name for that shrub.
Thank you. No further
Okay.
questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Morrissey. Commissioner Fan?
Yes, I noticed that kind of directly adjacent to the proposed project, the overall aesthetics of the buildings surrounding it are, I would say, not Spanish Revival. And I'm wondering whether or not there's been discussion of wanting to match the existing development directly adjacent to this proposed project. It looks to me like board and batten or some sort of a wood siding and stucco on the immediate adjacent project.
Thank you, Commissioner. Are you referring to the project directly to the south across the street from Santa Ana Boulevard?
That is correct.
Okay. Yeah, so this site is located within the Transit Zoning Code, which is our form-based code, I think 1 of 2 in the city, possibly 3, that really take into account form and architecture. So with that, there is kind of a menu item of architectural styles that the developer could choose from. And that's to remain consistent with what the primary architectural styles are within the entire downtown. As mentioned in the staff report, I think down the street on Santa Ana Boulevard in Lacey, there is a mission kind of revival style that's proposed. This project wasn't intended to immediately mimic or recreate the projects directly south of them, but it was intended to be consistent in design with the neighborhood as a whole.
Understood. And in terms of the building's footprint on the site, is there a city or a development ratio in terms of how much communal space is offered versus how many units is as part of the development?
Thank you, Commissioner. On the top of my head, I don't recall that there was any sort of intertransit zoning code requirement for that, but generally within our own design guidelines, we try to have about a good ratio that's appropriate with these types of projects. I don't have a fixed number for you though.
That's okay. I was just wondering, you know, if the intention to take up so much of the site is to kind of create as much communal space as possible in terms of the offices and laundry room and things like that, because it looks to me like a good portion of the first floor is dedicated to communal space, and that was just my. I just wanted some clarification whether or not these communal spaces are created based on a certain ratio, or if this is just kind of the client's program and they needed the exemption to get more units plus the communal space.
Thank you, Commissioner. No, I don't know an exact amount for that, what you're referring to. There is an amount for the open space that's required. The transit zoning code requires 15% of the lot size, which is actually one of the waivers or concessions that is being requested. So that, and instead of 15%, they're requesting 12.5, so slightly less. So they are providing open spaces, not in that amount. But to your point about the communal spaces within the development itself, and there isn't any sort of fixed number.
Understood. All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Fan. Commissioner Ramos.
I just wanted to say, I don't know if it's so much of a question for staff or more of a statement. I know there have been concerns over parking, but this is walking distance from the train station that will not only provide alternative modes of transport, but also provides temporary parking for free. So I say this is someone that is very familiar with the area. So I hope that will address those questions a little bit. And then also just want to say that I think this is going to be a great addition to the neighborhood. And I have some questions for the applicant, but I hope we're moving there now.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Ramos. Commissioner Wu.
Yes, I went down to the property and tried to park and walk it. There is an existing parking problem on Garfield from the apartments. The apartment will probably allow 1 or 2 roommates or more. Thus, I think that's where the problem will be coming from. I want to congratulate the staff and the 2 nonprofits for coming up with this plan. The state regulation forces us to, forces a wrong term, but it allows for these concessions to make that normally I would not like to see done, so that we could improve the integrity of the neighborhood. However, in making these concessions, we can make the building affordable and thus help people who are chronically homeless and probably single, that they will through Mercy House receive the kind of services to make them stabilize, and they could move on to other housing, and that's you know, it can be used for other tenants that will come in. So I'm comfortable with having the city involved with the housing to look at it and kind of ride shotgun over 100 years or so. And I'm happy with the developer and the plan that they've done, and also the social service agency that will be helping out. The parking is an issue, but I don't see how we can get around it. The landscaping issue, the more kind of thing that we add on, the less affordable it will be. And I think the train had left the station in terms of us keeping this a family residential area. So in looking at how urban neighborhood zoning looks from 100 years from now, I think this is consistent with the kind of housing we put along the corridor route, and a way to kind of ease in some transition and transformation, so that we could make it a very livable neighborhood. My only thing is, what in addition will the developer give in terms of the to the neighborhood? Because the neighborhood did come out, and I want to thank Homemade for mailing out all those notices and trying to get people to come out to the public hearing. And they mentioned traffic as the main issue. Is there other things that, in terms of benefits to the community, that the developer has in mind, so that it could be good neighbors with the community? And that's just a question. But I don't know how you got this building designed in such a way that it fits on a small lot, but congratulations.
Okay, Alan, do you have any other questions of staff at this time?
No, I'm kind of trusting that the work is such that these concessions will, it makes it very Spartan-like, but yet for the inside, when people live there, I take it that the living environment will be roomy for them.
Okay. All right, thank you, Alan. I have no further questions of staff at this point, myself. So I think at this time, let's move on. And Madam Secretary, have we received any written communication on this project?
We have not received any written communication.
Thank you. The public hearing is now open. Would the applicant like to speak on this matter? And please identify who you are and where you live.
Great. Hi, good evening. This is Gina Scott. I'm the Executive Director for Homemade Orange County. Thank you for having me this evening.
Okay.
I live in the city of Santa Ana, here in Floral Park. And I used to live in Friends Park, which is adjacent to the Lacey district that this project will be going into. I would just like to thank the city of Santa Ana for their partnership on this project. We are excited to be able to provide affordable housing for those experiencing homelessness. And we're here along with Larry Haynes from Mercy House. Our architect from Vicini Lagoni is here to be able to answer any questions that we can for the commissioners.
Okay, welcome, Gina. We'll start off with Eric Alderetti. Commissioner Alderetti, do you have any questions of Gina and the Homemade Group?
No, I don't have any questions. I think just what I wanted to say is that I'm ecstatic to support a project like this that aims to house those that are very income, which isn't something we see a lot in Orange County. And I think that the 3 waivers are reasonable. And so I wanted you to know that. And I look forward to hearing from my other commissioners.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Alderetti. Commissioner Calderon.
Sure, thank you. I just wanted to ask the previous question that I asked before. So for the amenities that this place is gonna, sorry, let me just kind of rephrase the question. Will this location have Wi-Fi access to its residents in the work area space?
Yes, it will.
And will it be free for them?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Morrissey.
Yes. Yeah, first, I'd like to thank Homemade and Mercy House for doing this project. I've commented in the past that, these projects in Santa Ana really have a tendency to work out well because the hard work of staff working with developers and produce really high quality projects despite the concessions we make. And I think this is one of them. I do have, I am somewhat concerned about the landscape along Garfield. Maybe the applicant can comment on, it seems like we're giving a concession there where it's probably may not be warranted or needed. So maybe you could expand a little upon why we can't fit any trees along the Garfield corridor, or even palm trees. I saw some marketing materials of palm trees.
Right, and I know our team was trying to get our landscape architect on the line, but I'm not sure if they were successful. So I might defer that question to Mark Kiner, our architect, to see if he can answer some of those questions for you.
Yes, and I think staff tried to address that properly. It has to do with the size of the required street trees that are going there versus the street trees that are on Santa Ana Boulevard, which are much smaller diameter and allow for the additional trees on site. If the city is willing to offer a different type of tree along there, which I don't think they can because that's already the existing tree along that street, we might be able to fit some other smaller trees adjacent to the building. And we can obviously take a look at that and work with staff if that's something you would like us to look at. The palm trees that are there are definitely, they're smaller and lower underneath the existing trees on Santa Ana. They're accents at the entry condition there. But we'd be happy to look at that with staff if that's what you would like us to do.
Okay. Thank you, Mark. Thomas?
No other questions. Just thanks for quality development.
Okay, Commissioner Fan.
Thank you, Gina, for the application. I'm wondering, I think that your development allows for an additional unit. I'm wondering whether or not you consider having 18 units rather than 17, given that this is for a lower income population, that an additional unit would be beneficial as well.
Well, I think that we try to get as many units as possible on the site. I know that one of the other concessions that we wanted to make sure we had for the community was a community room, something that we offered the Lacey residents use. I don't know that we could actually fit another unit on the property.
Understood. And just in general, the population that will be this project will be open to, is there a specific kind of is there a specific population that this is geared towards in terms of job rehabilitation or things of that nature, or is it more just based on income level?
I'll defer that to Larry Haynes, our operator.
Sure, Larry Haynes with Mercy House here. So in reference, we talked about this being a permanent supportive housing project, and I hate to speak in universals because there could always be an exception. So please take this as a pretty healthy generality. When we're talking about permanent supportive housing, you're talking about somebody who's extremely poor, somebody who's been on the streets for an extended period of time, and likely with multiple disabilities. So we need to understand, job rehabilitation, moving on to the next thing can happen. It occasionally does happen in permanent supportive housing projects, but here you're talking about some of the most vulnerable people that are on the streets today. And so really the focus is creating the housing and stabilizing them in this housing, as opposed to maybe at a shelter setting or a rapid rehousing setting where you might work on interview skills and resource fairs and things of that nature. The real emphasis here is creating dignified, stable housing.
Understood. And you're projecting these tenants to be kind of long-term part of the community. I'm just wondering if it's kind of the projected turnover rate of your residents.
I do. Again, the emphasis here is permanent housing. So, think about any other apartment complex. How long do folks live in other apartment complexes? Ours would probably be slightly longer because of the supportive services, the affordability, and frankly, the quality housing project that's being developed. In our other permanent supportive housing projects all across Southern California, it's probably worth noting that our retention rate on an annual basis is somewhere around 94 to 95%. So it is very stable. There's not a lot of turnover. And that's by design, right? That's exactly what you're trying to do, because you're ending somebody's homelessness. So that is, yes, I would imagine that these are folks who will be there and want to be a part of the community and want to be engaged and active participants in the broader community.
That sounds great. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Commissioner Fan. Commissioner Ramos.
Thank you. I have one question for the applicant, and it's actually regarding the community room. So I believe I was a part of the very early conversations on this development with some of the Lacey residents. And I remember that the community room was very important to them, especially knowing that there could be a space that would be accessible to residents of the Lacey neighborhood and not just of this development. So I just want to ask, who will have access to this community room, and what will that access look like?
Larry, I'm not sure what access will look like, but it's our understanding that this will be open to the Lacey community and the French Park community, Commissioner Ramos. And I think we offered it to actually have the Lacey neighborhood meetings, because I think you've been using the Garfield School, or there was other places that you did not have accessibility to. And so it would be free to the Lacey neighborhood to utilize.
So just to further clarify on that, you would go ahead and coordinate that through Mercy House. That is something that we would coordinate with those who want to use it. I want to be really clear, though. It does need to be coordinated out of privacy and dignity and safety. We can't just have folks walking on just to use it, right? So it would have to be calendared. One block up, for example, one of the first AIDS housing project in all of Orange County was built, and that was also by this very same team, Homemade and Mercy House. And we've got a conference room here that for many, many years served as the meeting spot for the Historic French Park Neighborhood Association board meeting. And so we have a long-standing history of being a good community partner in just this exact respect. So all you need to do, Commissioner, is somebody would coordinate with the Mercy House staff, and we'd make it available free of charge.
Perfect, thank you. And I would just ask that be just as accessible to other neighborhood groups that may not be a part of the neighborhood association, because those do exist within the Lacey neighborhood. And so I just would want to make sure that it's as accessible to other resident groups as it is to the recognized neighborhood association.
I think we can guarantee that. I think it's important. You know, there's a question earlier, and I apologize for going on. Commissioner Wu talked about, well, what is your plan to be a good neighbor? Well, this is what it looks like, right? Being actually a part of the community, being a supportive part of the broader community. This is exactly what we're talking about. So we're excited to do that. It's not a burden at all.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Ramos. Commissioner Wu.
Larry and Ms. Scott, is there a possibility of at least one unit being available to chronic homeless that live in the area? Because at your public hearing, there was a lady that was saying that she had hardship maintaining her housing. And I know that you have people in your pipeline, which is great. The Tiny Team development, that developer committed to giving some preference to the local neighborhood, and they stuck with it, and they did. Yeah.
I'm going to embarrass myself a little bit here. So Judson, if you're still on the call, if you could bail me out if I get this wrong. Our understanding, my intent is always to have a Santa Ana preference. My understanding is this will go through the coordinated entry system with a strong Santa Ana preference. So honestly, I'd like to see all of the units filled with a local preference from folks from Santa Ana. I mean, that's how we try to do all of our projects, is to have that strong local preference. But I don't want to make a promise I can't keep. Judson, does that sound about right? Because I know that's how we've done other projects, or am I misspeaking here?
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Larry, and thank you, Commissioner Wu. The city actually has implemented and had a local preference on all of our projects since March 2018, including the Tiny Tim project that you mentioned, and since October of last fall, we've actually created a new by name homeless registry list, working very deliberately with Santa Ana PD, outreach and engagement staff, CityNet to outreach to the local individuals who are identified as residents of homeless individuals who are identified as residents of Santa Ana. And so we've been very deliberate, very strategic in trying to ensure that we're serving local chronically homeless individuals from and in our community. And so with the individual that you mentioned, if you'd like to send their information over to me, I can make sure that our outreach and engagement staff reach out to them and that they're added to our by name homeless registry to be housed in this project or in other tenant-based housing opportunities that we have available.
Thank you, Larry and Justin. I think it's important as this goes forward to City Council, they know because it's a great selling point.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else, Commissioner Wu?
No, just thank you.
Okay. Judson, just for clarification, again, I'm going to say there are affordable housing projects that essentially do not allow us to take preference on Santa Ana residents first because of certain restrictions on funding and things of that nature. Is that correct?
Thank you for that question. It's actually Janice and I have been working on a memo that we've been wanting to send to City Council to try and inform council regarding our local preference further. We are prohibited from having a requirement that we only serve local Santa Ana residents. So we can't mandate that it only absolutely serves Santa Ana residents, but we can have a preference. And when we implement that preference, as Larry saw with our Aqua Housing project, or our Casa Corinthia project, or our Tiny Tim project, we have more than enough local applicants to fill those preference spots. So even though it's not a mandate, it's not a requirement, we have more than enough preferenced applicants for every one of our affordable housing projects that we finance.
Right, but just as an example, I'm just trying to get a feel for this, because just as an example, in this particular case, you've got 16 units. How many would be preference units at this point in time?
100%.
100%.
All of them.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I just wanted to get clarification, but that does not apply. I mean, there's, in the case of Tiny Tim, was that 100% also?
100% of the units at Tiny Tim had a preference for Santa Ana residents. And Janice, do you happen to know the data on that project, or regarding how many we served?
I don't know the exact numbers, but I do believe it's most of them are Santa Ana residents, and we can follow up and get that information for you.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's 100% that we've served of Santa Ana residents. I remember the last time we checked in with the owner, the property manager, who said that there were more than enough local residents on the preference list.
That's my understanding as well, since we're the operator of that project and partial owner. So yeah.
Granted, I think there is a large number of people on the preference list from Santa Ana. It's just how those people are able to secure in these different facilities. How many are they? 100%, 75%? That's all. I'm just trying to get a feel for that, just for an understanding basis.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, if there is a local preference on the project, it applies to 100% of the units.
Okay, perfect. All right. I have no further questions at this point in time. We'll have a discussion. Is anybody, Madam Secretary, would you check and see if we have anybody that would like to speak at this point in time? I see a couple of hands raised.
Yes, Chair, we'll go ahead and start with caller with the last three numbers, 477. Please state your name and your position on the matter and your comments. You will have 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Yes, Dale Helvig, live up in Ward 3. If I heard correctly, I just want to get clarification more than anything else. I heard that residents would have to have a minimum income of $20,000 and a maximum income of $72,000. And based upon the 30% rent max limit, that'd mean the places would rent for anywhere between $500 and $1,802. I'm just wondering, is that a correct assessment? And are steps going to be taken to ensure that there's an equal distribution of those incomes, or are we going to just target the one for the maximum rent that we can achieve out of that property? So that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dale. Next.
Okay, the next caller is Kimberly Adams. Please state your position on the matter and your comments. You'll have 3 minutes. Go ahead now.
Thank you. My name is Kimberly Adams. I am the Housing Advocacy Program Manager for Orange County United Way under the United to End Homelessness program. I'm calling tonight in support of the FX residences. I'd like to tell you a story about Anna. She's a senior, recently disabled from a stroke, and she likes to sit out on her balcony and drink tea in the morning. But now it's interrupted by feelings of panic and dismay because she's going to end up losing her apartment because she cannot afford it. And she's going to end up on the streets. And she's going to end up being one of the people who needs to be in a place like FX Residence. This is the new face of homelessness. And I mean, this development looks absolutely beautiful. It fits in with the neighborhood. The supportive services promote success and housing longevity. And, you know, gives an opportunity for our most vulnerable to be successful and thrive. And especially in Santa Ana, it's in particular need. So I just want to say I'm in support and hope that you will approve this development and pass it on to City Council. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kimberly.
If anyone else would like to speak on this matter, please press the hand icon if you are participating via Zoom, or dial *9 if you are calling in. We'll wait 30 seconds. About 10 more seconds.
You better come quick. You better do it quickly because Larry's chomping at the bit to say something.
Yes, this is Kimberly Adams again. I just wanted to say that I was concerned when you said you had no written communications. And I know of 4 people and then myself or Orange County United Way, a letter. And they were submitted by email. And I was just concerned that nobody saw those.
Madam Secretary, do you have an answer with regards to that?
We did not receive any email communication. The email gets distributed to myself, our principal planner, and the executive director. It's submitted to our PDA e-comments as instructed on the public notice, and we did not receive an email. But if you'd like to forward that, Kimberly, to us again, we will be more than happy to put that on file.
Okay, yeah, I did send it to that email address specifically. So I don't know where you want me to send it. You just send it again, or?
Yes, I can reach out to you and we can arrange. You can email it to me directly, and I can give you my email address if you have a pen.
I do.
Okay, great. It's please email it to S as in Sarah Bernal, BERNAL, at santa-ana.org. And if you could please forward the original email to me so I can see what happened. Appreciate that.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Kimberly, for making that observation. Okay, with that, I'm going to go back. Larry, you wanted to, I think, respond to some of the questions and comments that were just made?
Thank you, Mark. Just want to reassure one of the callers. In terms of the income levels, it's not a minimum of 20 to a maximum of 72. Again, just as a reminder, these are all extremely low income folks. Some folks will have no incomes at all. These are folks this is permanent supportive housing. So there is no way that most of these folks, for example, will have an income of $20,000. This is specifically targeted for those with of extremely low incomes. And income in the project is being designed specifically so income is not a barrier to housing.
Okay. Thank you, Larry. Just I didn't ask the question myself, but what services will be available at this point in time on site?
Sure, sorry about that. So we will have, Mercy House will have a full-time staff member on site. The county itself will also be availing itself of all of its supportive services, from behavioral health to benefits to everything that you could imagine there. The way that we do these projects, and it's the same whether it's been the Orchard or Casa Querencia or any of the other ones that are coming up, the best designed projects are when we have our staff literally there on site. So that's one of the reasons. So we mentioned some of the office space that's there. And this is to engage in a one-on-one basis with every single resident that's there to make sure that we're addressing whatever their needs might be. For some, it might be recovery services. For others, it may be some job coaching. For others, there may be behavioral health. For others, there may be, maybe some medical health issues. So that is our job, and that's everything that we would bring, on site as well. And what we do is not only provide it directly ourselves, but then leverage all of the relationships that we've developed over the last 30 years, be it from, your local FQHCs to, as I said, all the county supports to our nonprofit partners as well. It's also worth mentioning that literally just a block down the road, we've also got a whole group of other Mercy House staff members that are here as well, in an office setting at the Emmanuel residence in case there is any emergency or anything that needs addressing.
Great, thank you, Larry. I'm just going to go through the commission one more time to see if there's any other questions of any of the applicants or staff. So I'm going to start off, Eric. Commissioner Alderetti, do you have any questions?
No, I do not.
Commissioner Calderon?
No further questions.
Commissioner Morrissey?
No questions.
Commissioner Fan?
No questions, thank you.
Commissioner Ramos?
No questions.
Commissioner Wu?
No question. I'd like the honor of placing the motion.
Well, hang on. We public hearing is still open, Alan, so please give us a second. Just want to say that at this point in time, the public hearing is now closed. So we've taken that and we'll bring it back to the we'll bring it back to the commission. And we'll start out by saying, do you have any final questions, or would you like to make a recommendation with regards to this item number 2?
I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
I'd like to second.
Okay, thank you.
The motion is to approve the conditional, the resolution to approve the condition. What is it now? I've got to read it.
Density.
The density bonus agreement number 2020-03.
Okay. And yeah, good.
Somebody second?
The second was Commissioner Ramos. So we have a second.
Can I add a friendly amendment to that?
Okay.
The applicant work with staff to come up with an alternate tree to the city standard on Garfield, and add a few trees along Garfield.
Okay. Commissioner Wu, do you accept the friendly amendment?
Does that mean the applicant had to go through this process again?
Ali, how would you?
Chairman, if the friendly amendment is to work with staff on it directly, then it would not need to return to planning commission. We could just take that direction and implement it through the landscape plan check process.
I'm amenable to the friendly suggestion.
Okay. All right. Any other comments and questions that the staff has, the commission has at this point in time? Okay, hearing none. Madam Secretary, will you please do a roll call vote?
Yes, so I have a motion by Commissioner Wu with a second by Commissioner Ramos. And I'll do a roll call vote. Commissioner Alderetti.
Yes.
Commissioner Calderon.
Aye.
Commissioner Morrissey. Commissioner Fan.
Aye.
Commissioner Ramos.
Aye.
Commissioner Wu.
Yes.
And Chair McLaughlin.
Aye.
Motion passes by unanimous consent.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Gina. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Mark, for your presentation and your support of this project. With that, we'll move on.
Thank you.
Good luck with everything. Okay, this concludes the public hearing at this point in time for tonight. We're going to move on to the business calendar. And on the business calendar, we have to elect the vice chair to serve partial term expiring in July 2021. So I'd like to take any nominations at this point in time, and I'd like to actually make a nomination of Tom Morrissey for vice chair. Anybody else would like to make a motion on anyone else?
I'd like to second that motion.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other individual?
You're on mute.
Yes, I'd like to move that we have Usudi be the vice chair.
I'm sorry, what was that, Eric?
I would like to move that we have Usudi. I would like to nominate her to be the vice chair.
So you want Asuri to be, you're nominating Asuri?
Correct.
Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Is that Bao?
Yes, that's correct. Yep.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second for Tom Morrissey and for Asuri.
Chair, please, for the record, can you clarify who seconded the nomination for Commissioner Morrissey?
Alan Wu.
Alan, thank you. We can start with the roll call for the first nomination, which is Commissioner Morrissey.
Okay.
So if you'd like, I can proceed with that.
Go ahead, please.
Okay, so first round of voting for Commissioner Morrissey as vice chair for the 2021 term. Commissioner Alderete.
No.
Commissioner Calderon.
Oops. Aye. Yes.
Commissioner Morrissey.
Aye.
Commissioner Pham.
No.
Commissioner Ramos.
No.
Commissioner Wu.
Aye.
Chair McLaughlin.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-3.
Okay.
This is Commissioner Alderete. I want to make one comment if I can.
Go ahead.
So I read the planning commission bylaws. Yeah, I'm a wild guy and this is what I do in my free time. And according to section 11B, it's my impression or my understanding that we have an election for both the chairperson and the vice chairperson in the event of a vacancy. And we've had that here. While some of us have served on this commission before, all of us are brand new commissioners, even if we've served before. For example, I served as the Ward 2 appointee for nearly 10 years, and then I vacated that position. Now I'm the appointee for the citywide appointment, for the mayor's appointment. Mark used to be the citywide appointee. He vacated that position and now is the Ward 4 appointee. And so because both positions went vacant, even if that were momentary and without a meeting, I think the elections are appropriate for both offices. And what I would also say is that when I served on the commission just more than a year ago, we agreed that everyone should get an opportunity to serve as a chairperson for 1 year. The reason for that was so that everyone got the opportunity to serve, so that it just didn't with one person. So those are my comments. I know counsel for the commission may have a different view of the bylaws, but I think if you do a plain reading of section 11B, I think we could only come to one conclusion, that we also need to have an election for the chairmanship.
Okay, thank you for the input. All right, at this point in time, we do not have any other items on the business calendar, so we'll open it up for staff comments.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to welcome Commissioner Wu to the Planning Commission. Your addition make this commission a full body, so very much appreciated. And I look forward to working with you. Just have a quick update. Sarah, if you will allow me to share my screen, please.
Yes, just one moment. You should be a co-host, but I will double check. One moment, please.
While she's doing that, the update I'm providing relates to the update of the housing element as well as the comprehensive general plan update. Let me see, I think I can share now. Can everyone see my screen?
Not yet.
Not yet.
No, we're just seeing the remaining commission items.
Apologize for technical difficulties. But there are two major planning efforts currently this spring. The first is the comprehensive update of the general plan, and the second is the mandatory update of the house to address the city's RHNA allocation from SCAG. As part of the comprehensive general plan update, the city staff will be reaching out to Santa Ana environmental justice communities, which includes 21 neighborhoods and 17 census tracts, for additional feedback on environmental quality of life concerns affecting neighborhoods. 10 virtual meetings are throughout the month of May. Through the month of May, with the first meeting on March 30th. Meeting notices will be mailed to approximately 32,000 residents and owners over the next couple months. An online survey has been made available to encourage residents in the environmental justice community to respond, and meeting notices and survey are going to be made available in English, Spanish, as well as Vietnamese. The feedback provided by the Asian communities will help to strengthen the draft general plan and policy implementation actions. Secondly, we will have the kickoff of the mandatory update of the housing element, which will take place later this spring. It will include facilitating a number of roundtables forums in a variety of community stakeholders, building industry representative, as well as housing advocates. Citywide virtual town hall meeting will be held online. Survey also planned for residents to participate and provide comments and feedback on the housing policies and programs as well. The goal is to complete both these documents later this year and present it to the City Council and the Planning Commission for consideration towards the end of 2021. So I don't know if you can see my screen now, but I have a flyer that is shared with the community. And again, the online survey is available now. It is available at www.santa-ana.org/general plan. /general and hyphen plan. So that's www.santana.org/general plan. Thank you, Chair. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Min. Any other staff have any other comments? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to commissioner comments, and we'll start with Commissioner Alderete.
Thank you. I wanted to welcome Commissioner Wu and wish everybody the best for the rest of the week, and hope for those who haven't been vaccinated that you're able to get vaccinated soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Commissioner Calderon.
Hi, yes. First and foremost, welcome, Commissioner Wu. Look forward to working with you. Thank you, city staff, for presenting good presentations. And yeah, let's all have a good week. Thank you.
Commissioner Morrissey.
Yes. First, welcome Commissioner Wu. Appreciate all your comments today. It's great having you on board. Look forward to working with you. And thanks for the support as Vice Chair. Appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, Commissioner Morrissey. Commissioner Fan.
Yes, thank you. Welcome, Commissioner Wu, and congratulations, Commissioner Morrissey. And I hope everyone has a great rest of your week.
Okay. Commissioner Ramos.
Yes, I'd like to welcome Commissioner Wu. Also congratulate Commissioner Morrissey. Thank Commissioner Alderete and Pham for your vote of confidence. And I also want to thank staff. I'm very happy that we're waiting the entire 30 seconds to see if we have members of the public that would like to comment. I know it's a little awkward to be silent for that long, but there is a 20-second delay on the YouTube stream. So I'm very happy that we're waiting the extra time. And also just want to announce again that Latino Health Access is helping those that are eligible to get the vaccine to get appointments directly through them. If you or anybody you know is in need of assistance to get an appointment for the vaccine, please call Latino Health Access at 714-805-7838. They're taking calls from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. And thank you all.
Thank you, Commissioner Ramos. Commissioner Wu.
I want to thank you all for welcoming me, and I'm looking forward to working with you as well, particularly Ms. Ramos, Commissioner Ramos. Looking forward to working with you. We work well in the community together, and I wish we continue to do that as well. This is a quick meeting, very efficient.
Okay. Anything else, Alan?
No.
Okay. All right. My final comments here. Again, welcome, Alan. Known each other for a long time and worked together on many different things. So I look forward to working with you on the commission. Also would like to remind everybody that signed up for the Planning Academy that the Planning Academy is on March 25th and 26th, which is this week. And it's also on March 31st and April 1st next week. So for a total of 4 days. So just make sure that if you're signed up for it, Sarah will be sending out links and information to you, and you should be set to go by tomorrow or the next day at the latest. So enjoy that event. It's always a good and helpful event. And for those that have to take their ethics or Brown Act qualification, it's a good time to get that done. The other thing is, I think, item number 2 on our agenda obviously brought out a lot of questions. And I think one of the things that we had done several years back, maybe just about a year and a half ago, was that Judson and several other individuals from the housing department came out and gave presentations on the overall makeup of what affordable housing is, the different levels of affordable housing, and some of the things related to affordable housing when it comes to bonus agreements and things of that nature. And I'd like to recommend, Min, that we kind of look at possibly that for either the next meeting or the following meeting, so that we could, get everybody, some information if they haven't already heard about it or understood it from previous situations. But I'd like to make sure that we get an update of how the housing department is functioning at this point in time, since it seems like Judson mentioned there are things that there are actions being taken right now by the department to make recommendations to council. And if we can get that the latest and greatest information to the commission, it makes our jobs a lot easier too.
Absolutely. We will follow up and see if we can get that information. And if feasible and times allow, we also would like to invite Judson to attend and give a short presentation as well. We'll coordinate and we'll get back to the commission.
Okay, thank you, Min. Please note that the next regularly scheduled meeting will be held via telecommunications on Monday, April 12th, 2021 at 5:30 p.m. With that, we are adjourning tonight's meeting. Thank you very much, and everybody be safe and enjoy the rest of the week, as it was pointed out. Let's make it 2 weeks we can enjoy.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Take care.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Take care.
Everyone.
Be safe.